Okay, so hello and welcome back to another Unity tutorial. In today's video, we'll be using Unity's input system to allow for runtime rebinding of keys for the input in our game. This has been a highly requested topic as it's not very well documented right now, and it's a feature that's in pretty much every game. So I'm here now to teach you how to do it. Let's get started. So the first thing to do is to go over the project and show you what I currently have set up. So we have in the scene just a floor with a player character, and if we go into the player character, what we have is we have just the model here from Mixamo of the animator, and I have a few different animations, the idle, walking, and jumping. So if I was to hit play and give it a second, then we'll see that I can walk around with WASD, and I can hit spacebar to jump, and that's everything. If I hit this button right now, it doesn't do anything because the code is empty. But what we want to happen is me to click on this, and then to hit a different key, like H, let's say, and then I want to make H be my jump key. But right now, we're stuck with spacebar. If we look back at the player, we've got the character controller component here set up as the collider and the character controller. And then I've got this player input script. So I'm assuming here for this video that you've used the input system before. And just like usual, you'll have an input actions map like this. So I've got the gameplay map, which has move and jump, which is currently the WASD keys for moving and the space key for jumping. And then I've got the menu map, which is just blank right now. So when you're on the menu, all these inputs here stop. Of course, you can then say on here, well, on the menu, then WASD does something different. It handles navigating the UI. But for now, we don't care. We're just saying in gameplay, these are our actions, and in the menu, we have no actions. So if we close this and go back to the player, you'll notice how I've got that controls asset dragged in to the player input. And then it says here, default map gameplay, and the behavior is to invoke Unity events. So whenever I move or jump, you see here, it calls this move and this jump event. And then what I have is I've hooked those into my own player controller script to move and jump. So that's what we're going to go into here. If you want access to the code or the project in general, the link to my GitHub is down below. And from there, you can go find the repository input system tutorials. And what we have here is reference to the animator to play animation, the player input component, so we can then pass it up to the UI when we need to do the rebinding. The controller is to actually move it, and then some move speed to tweak how fast we move. Since the input system only raises the event every time we change our input, I need to cache it here so each frame when I'm trying to move, I can use whatever the previous input was. So if we look down here, every frame, well, actually, to be honest, first we'll look at the two events. So whenever we try and move, whenever we hit a different WASD key, we read that, and then we convert it into a vector free with none on the Y because we don't want to move up and down. And then for jumping, as we see here, we're not actually jumping, we're just going to play a jump animation for the sake of this. So long as it was performed, so the jump key was pressed rather than released, then we want to, return if they did release. But if they pressed, then we want to set this trigger in the animator so that it plays a jump animation. And then in the update every frame, we take our input and then we multiply it by the move speed and delta time. And then we move the character controller. And then once we've moved, we then handle rotating the player and changing the is walking animation. So it's something pretty simple. And as you saw, it all works. So if you can get your own character controller working, that's a good place to start. And then now we want to know how to rebind it. Before we write our code in here, let's have a look back at the project. So we have this rebinding display object, which is the UI. If I double click on this and go into 2D mode, you see here is the rebinding display. And then if I open this up, we've got a canvas. And on the canvas, I've got this up here, this background. On the background, I've got just the text saying jump. And then I've got this button. I've called it the jump button. And it's currently set to space. I just typed that in myself. But this text here will be dynamically updated if, for example, you change it from space to a different key. And then I've got this other object here that's disabled, which is just some text, which I can toggle like this. So when I hit the button, it'll just change to be waiting for input. Then when I hit something, it will turn that off again and turn the button on. And then the button will be updated with the new input. So it's really just a button and some text. That's all it is. And on the root here, the rebinding display, I've got this script, which will open up. It's currently empty, and we'll code it together. So let's do all of our fields first. We want a serialized field, private reference to quite a few different things. One will be an input action reference. And that's so that we can reference one of our actions from our map. So we've made a move and a jump action. So I'm going to reference the jump action. So we'll just call it jump action. And then we'll add a second thing, and that's going to be reference to our player controller. So in my case, I've called the script player controller, but you'd call it whatever you called yours. Or you could actually here just put the player input class itself, but I'm going to go with my player controller, and that's the player controller. Then we want to add some reference to text, so we can say TMP text. We want reference to the thing that displays what we're bound to, so whether it's space or the M key or whatever key on the keyboard. So we can say here, this is the binding display text, display name text. And then we want two game objects, one that we can toggle on and off for the button, and one we can toggle on and off for the text. So private game object, and we'll call this the start rebind object. And then we'll make another one. And this will be the waiting for input object. So now we want to hit the button in the game and have that start the rebinding process. So make a public void, start rebinding. And with this, we'll zoom in a little bit. So when we start rebinding, we want to turn the start rebinding object off because we've clicked on it. We want it to hide now. So set active false. And then the waiting for input. So waiting for input object, set active true. And then we want to go and swap the current map that the player is using. So right now the player is using the gameplay map, which has the move and the jump, but we want to change it to the menu map, which means that they're effectively paused. So we'll say here, player controller, dot player input, switch current action map, and then menu. And now we want to start the rebinding process. So we'll say here, jump action. Now keep in mind, I'm designing this right now as if there's only one thing you can rebind in your game, but if you have more, you don't want to have to code out a separate script for every different input, so we'll be addressing that in a future video. But for now, jump action, dot, and then you can say, get the action from that reference. And then there's a thing called perform interactive rebinding. And then with this, there are many different settings you can tweak, and on the documentation, it explains them all, and we're not going to go into every single one, just the ones I think you'll need. So first of all, we can say on here, dot, and you say with controls excluding. So now you can pass in a string for the controls you don't want it to pick up. So if I'm rebinding jump, or pretty much anything in my game, I don't want it to pick up mouse input. So I can say here, mouse, and it will simply just not pick up any mouse input. You can then add a slight delay after it's matched with a key to then wait before finishing, and apparently they do this in the docs everywhere, so they all go for a 0.1 second delay. I'm not 100% certain why. You might be able to get away just without this, but I'm going to do it anyway. On match wait for another, and you pass in a float seconds, so 0.1f. You can then say what to do when it's finished. So on complete is when they actually hit a key. So we'll say operation, and then it's a lambda, so you have to pass in another method for it to do. You could write the method in here, but I'd recommend what we should do is make a separate method, private void rebind complete. And then what you can do is you can pass that in here. So you can say, when you've done the interactive rebinding and you've hit something like the new key for it to rebind to, when that's complete, it will call this method. So you can write code here to toggle the UI back and update the UI to display the new key. That's where you do all that. And then at the end of this chain, you need to call .start to actually set it all off. So with this code here, it will just set off this rebinding and it'll do it. And the problem is, if you keep doing this, it will keep allocating more memory, and it's memory that you yourself have to dispose of. And it's nothing complicated. You simply have to say, when we finish rebinding, to dispose of this, whatever it returns, this input action rebinding operation. Here we go. So let's make a private field, private, and then it's an input action rebinding extensions. It's a class in that class called rebinding operation, and we'll just call it rebinding operation. And we want to set that equal to this here. So when we start this, it will cache it in here, the operation. And when we're complete, we want to say this dot and then dispose. So rebinding operation dot dispose. And then we want to toggle the UI back. So let's copy paste these two and swap the true and the false around. So it's true on this and then false on this. And then once that's done, we want to swap the player's input back to their gameplay. So we'll take this line with the menu and we'll swap it back to be gameplay. And then this should all work. The only thing we're missing is actually updating the UI to display the new key. But let's go and test if it works. So back into Unity, we need some references. The first is the jump action, so I'll hit the search, and it's found jump here. The player controller will drag in the player. The binding display name text is basically the text on the button. The start rebind object is the jump button object itself, and the waiting for input is this other text. And now, if I was to hit play, so you see here I can hit WASD to walk around still, spacebar is jump, and what if I was to hit this? It's waiting for input now, and I'm going to hit the H key. Now, I haven't written the code to update the UI, but if I now try hitting spacebar, it no longer jumps. If I hit the H key, it does jump. So the rebinding has worked. One thing to note is that if you try rebinding to a key that is already bound, so if I try to bind to W now, it actually has a bit of an issue. If I hit W, it will now walk and it will do the jump. So we'll be addressing that in a future video, how to handle two things being bound to the same key. But for now, we'll skip over it because it'll just make this video far too long. So the final thing is to update the UI. And we can't just say set it equal to that key's binding, because a certain action can have many bindings. A jump might be bound to, let's say, space on a keyboard, but a different key on a PlayStation, a different key on an Xbox, and then on a Nintendo Switch. So you want to make sure it's all handled for you. So if we say, let's update the text to be equal to, then there's a built-in class called, well, with the input system called input control path, and it has a useful method called to human readable string. So we pass in the non-human readable string and it will convert it. So we need to pass in our jump actions.action. And it has multiple bindings. Like I said here, it's an array of all the different bindings for jump, whether that's space or whatever key on the other controllers. So we need to pass in an index here for this array. For now, I'm going to just hard code 0, but we do need to do that automatically rather than manually. And off that, we can grab the effective path. And that's what the input system will take and convert into a human readable string. And then as a second optional parameter, you can pass in an enum, which tells it what type of kind of way to format the text. So input control path dot human readable string options dot, and then we can choose the omit device, which will just say, like, for the keyboard, it'll say H as opposed to like keyboard H or H keyboard. So we want to omit the device there. Now this will work assuming that you only have one type of binding. So if you're just doing keyboard and mouse, this will technically work because there's only ever going to be one thing in this array. But if you're using multiple, you want to make sure it gets the right one. So we want to get that index. So let's define an int, and we'll call it the binding index, and that's what we'll pass in instead of 0. And that's equal to the jump action.action, and then you can say here, get the binding index for the control. And what it's going to do is it's going to go grab the current active control. So if you're using keyboard and mouse right now, it'll say, okay, go to keyboard and mouse and find out which binding that is. So in here, we can pass in the jump action.action.controls 0. We can pass in 0 here because 0 means the first thing in the controls, which will be what is currently active. And the reason this currently isn't working is because, if I zoom out a little bit here, I wrote get binding for control, and I meant get binding index for control. And then it all works. If we head back into Unity, there shouldn't be anything more to hook up. So if we just hit play, I can now hit WASD to walk around, space to jump. And if I hit rebind, and I hit, let's say, the J key, it now updates to say J. And if I hit J, J does jump, and space does no longer do jump. And I can set it to be anything like the escape key, and now that's jump. Set it to be the control key, and left control is now jump. It's up to you, right? You can set it to be whatever you like, and it all works. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you found it useful, then please leave a like and subscribe. Share it with people that you think would be interested. Let me know down below what you want to see next. And if you want access to this project, just check my GitHub link down below and go to the repository for input system tutorials. Thanks always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. But of course, before I go, I've got to thank my patrons. Special thanks to Francisco Lira, Liz Kimber, Andrew Williams, Beard or Die, Benjamin Hilder, David McDermott, Farouk, Jake Nixon, Yoris Letter, Katinkamom, Luis Ramos, Matt Fryer, Sam Marcus, Malvin, and Rack. If anyone else would like to help support the channel monetarily, link to Patreon is down below. If not, there are links down below to other social media such as Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. If you could help us out by checking any of those out, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.